Welcome back, Longstreet artists, to your artsy studio under the sea. Aloha! I'm so glad you joined me back for week 7 of creating art at home. If you need a mindful moment, go ahead and pause this video, play our mindfulness, or do your own, and then rejoin us. When you join us back, let's start with our 3 W's today. What do? We take care of each other, we take care of our stuff, and we think like artists. That is correct. Remember, you are an artist and your ideas matter. Today, our guest artist is none other than Peter Pan, often known as Pan or just Peter. Peter Pan was created, he's a fictional character that was created by J.M. Barrie. And first, it came out as a play, like on a stage, acted out in 1904. A few years later, in 1911, the play then was published as a novel. It gained wild popularity and overshadowed Barrie's career for the rest of his life. Now, Peter Pan, the main thing we're looking at as our guest artist today is his shadow. His shadow is always running away, having its own characteristics other than just following him like our shadows do. Do you know a little more about Peter Pan? We know that Peter Pan was an adventurous boy who could fly and never grew up. He was the leader of is the leader of the Lost Boys on the island of Neverland, with fairies, pirates, mermaids, Native Americans, and even a crocodile. If you haven't read Peter Pan, consider adding Pan to your list of books to read this summer to learn more about those adventures. So, focusing on his shadow again, let's look at our weekend statement for today, or this week. We can find inspiration from Peter Pan's shadow to create shadow art with the power of the light. Let me show you a few examples. The first one, I used aluminum foil to create my own sculpture, and then I went outside with the power of light to create the shadow behind my sculpture, making it one artwork. You also can find characters that you like in your house, figurines you like at your house. So here are some from Toy Story I found. I took them outside and traced their shadows and shadowed them in. Let me show you one more example before we get busy. Here I had 2 giraffes. So you'll just have to look at what you have at home. And this one I actually cut out to make into almost like a double artwork, but with positive and negative space with my giraffes. This colored paper actually was just white paper, and I have watercolor paint at home, so I painted those in. You use whatever materials and type of paper you have. You can use notebook paper, the back of a mail piece of paper that's blank. If you have construction paper, that's great. So look around to see what kind of paper you have. I'm going to start, though, by showing those of you that want to do your tinfoil sculpture how to do that. So you'll need some aluminum foil. I used a piece of a kind of like a snack box or cereal box. So that's what we're going to start with. If you are not going to do the aluminum foil figurine for our shadow art, go ahead and start looking around your house for figurines that you want to trace the shadows of outside, and join us outside in a minute. To make the aluminum foil sculpture, you will need 4 things. Actually 5, because of the shadow. You're going to need a piece of thin cardboard from a cereal box or snack box, so just cut a square out of it. That will be the base to hold your tinfoil up so it doesn't fall over. A square of tinfoil, scissors, and either hot glue if you have it. If you don't, a piece of Play-Doh will work fine to keep your sculpture attached to your piece of cardboard. So let's go ahead and make the form of the figurine. Now, some of you might just be, if you don't have aluminum foil or you just want to trace a figurine at home that you already have, like super action figures, that's fine. Go ahead and use this time right now to gather those figurines. All right, we're going to split our paper into a few sections. So let's go ahead, and you can just put the dot with your finger. I'm going to do it with a marker so you can see. So find the middle, and underneath your finger, we're going to make, let's go, down here this way. This is going to become the 2 legs, 1, 2. Above your finger, this is going to be like your body. So 2 legs, this is going to be your body. Above the dot, we need 3 sections. We need a head, an arm, and another arm. So that's 3 sections. So above the dot, I'm going to put my hand here to show that this is going to be where my head is. So I'm going to split this top section to 3 sections just by making 2 lines. So I'm going to make 1 line on one side of my hand, and then the other side of the hand I'm going to make another line. This will be an arm, and a head. So here we have a head, arm, leg, and this is the body. So now we go ahead and cut. Now since aluminum foil you can tear, but I want my cuts to not tear off. So I'm just going to cut the top section in 2. So 2 cuts. And I'm going to flip it around so I can reach it. All right. Flip it back so you can see. So here we go. We have an arm, a head, and 2 legs. I'm going to gently squish my foil from the 2 sides, so below my arms but above my legs. I'm going to squish the paper in towards that middle dot. I'm not going to crumple it. We're into a ball. I'm just going to squish it. So now it kind of looks like a wildflower. Now I'm going to find, here's a leg and a leg. So I'm going to go ahead and start with the legs, and I'm going to scrunch the legs together. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. Oh, I see a leg. Now this leg. Scrunch, scrunch, scrunch. There's my waist, my body. So we're starting to see the form of a person now. My head, I'm going to scrunch down. There's my head. Now it looks like I have wings. If you want wings, just leave them like that. I'm going to make them to arms. You can kind of twist them and scrunch them. And you want to be gentle with the foil because it will rip. Also, it has edges just like you can get a paper cut from a piece of paper if you're handling it too roughly. That's the same with any material pretty much. So, and there we go. There we have a person. So now decide, you can scrunch it a little more and just decide what action. Are they just standing up? You can go ahead. Now there's my square of like a cereal box. Are they going to just be standing up? Are they going to be dancing like this one is? Doing a flip? Oh, I think this one's going to be doing a headstand. So I'm going to push the head down so the arms are a little longer. That takes a lot of practice to do a headstand, doesn't it? Now since my hands are going to be the part on the cardboard, I want them flat. If it was my feet, I'd make sure the bottom was flat so it'd be easier to stand. But sometimes pushing it against the table helps it to stand. All right. So again, if you have hot glue, ask an adult to heat it up for you. If not, just grab some Play-Doh. If yours is just standing on one leg or arm, you just need that Play-Doh or hot glue on that one section. I can put up my 2 hands for a handstand. Now you want to put it to one side of your paper so you have room for the shadow outside. Just squish it down and there it stands. Do I want my legs bent at all? There we go, doing a handstand. All right, we're ready to take it outside to do our shadow tracing. If you did not do the foil, that's absolutely fine. Go ahead and grab whatever figurines you have, whether they're superheroes, animals, Legos, something Lego you built, and then your paper, whether it's a piece of the cereal box, just a plain paper, a lined paper, whatever you have will work, and I'll meet you outside. All right, set up outside. If you're on grass, you want to put a book underneath your paper. This is a piece of a paper grocery bag I've cut for these elephants. And just arrange them until you have them how you want them. And your sun needs to be at the early morning to mid-morning or mid-afternoon to late afternoon. And then you just go and trace the shadow. If you go above your figurines, then your body won't be a shadow inside. So just trace the outside using the power of line. And it's a bit cloudy today, so the sun goes behind. I'm trying to work quick, so if the sun goes behind the clouds, I'm already finished. If you try and do your shadows outside right in the middle of the day, like between 11 a.m. to 3 p.m., the sun is pretty high in the sky for about a 90 degrees angle, and you won't have much of a shadow. But if you go earlier in the morning, yep, they're my shadows. So they're my elephant shadows. I'm going to take it back inside, put it to the side, take it back inside to fill it in. Let's look at if you did the aluminum foil, getting a shadow on that. Whoa, I might need to hold it up a little because my shadow,
the angle of the sun to where I am is putting it off my paper, or get a larger paper. So I'm just going to angle it up like this by holding it for my shadow. Just tracing the outside of the shadow all the way around. All right, I've got that one.
Go ahead now and grab a pencil or a crayon or whatever you want to shade in. If you have charcoal, that works great. If you want to use color, it's up to you. You're an artist. You make the choice. It's time to shade in our shadows. Now, inside with the lights on, we might get double or triple shadows, which is kind of fun. And if you're doing this in the evening, or if it's a really cloudy or rainy day, you can opt to do it inside with a flashlight. Instead of going out to use the power of the sunlight, you can use artificial light. Up to you. Both will work. All right, so let's take a look. These guys I taped down, but when I'm done, I can take them off or leave them on. It's up to me. All right, I'm going to start with the aluminum foil figurine. And then I'm going to take a look for those pencil marks. I'm just going to use a black crayon. I'm going to retrace those shadows. So first I'm going to make a line. Oops, a little too much pressure, broke my crayon. That's okay, now I have two pieces. Trace those lines. And then I'm going to shade it in. Putting my shading exactly where I want it by going kind of slower along the edges, but then I can go quicker in large areas. You might want to experiment. You might even want to do patterns in your shading. You could do stippling, which are just small dots. You could do hatching, which are lines. Cross hatching is then going over in another direction. Or if you just want to color it in, it's up to you for your shading, for your shadow art. Now this Peter Pan, you know that sometimes his shadow takes off without him. He made a great friend in Wendy though. I remember one scene in the book where Wendy actually helped him sew his shadow back on so he wouldn't lose it. Do you ever lose your shadow? Do you ever find your shadow? There we go. So shadow art, pretty fun, right? So just play around the house. Let's take a look at one of the figurines. I think I have the elephant, and then also I did the giraffes. This one I had used a paper bag from the grocery store. I cut out. It's nice and large, and this is with my elephant, a baby and a mama elephant. So now I'm just going to go back. I'm going to trace, holding my paper with one hand. And depending on the angle of the sun or your light source, your shadows might look different. You can actually play around to see what angle you want your shadow on. Tail. Egg. Background and foreground. So this one's a little closer. I think these legs must blend. They blended together in the shadows. If I want to shadow it in, maybe I can even texture rub in the large areas. I'm going a little slower in the more slender areas for craftsmanship. To put that shadowing exactly where I want it. If you have the hang of it, don't feel pressure to watch the rest of this video. If you want to stay tuned for the next one, I'm going to show you the giraffe. I didn't show you the tracing outside of the giraffe, but that's the one where the example I showed you where I actually cut and glued it on. I cut out the shadow to make a positive and negative space artwork. So if you want to see how to do that, stay tuned. If not, enjoy exploring shadow art. I can't wait to see what figurines you use, or even with the aluminum foil, what poses you come up with. If you want to go back, you can always go back and you can add a horizon line. Maybe there are some hills or mountains. Maybe it's Mount Kilimanjaro. I have to look up how to say that. Maybe there's a volcano. You decide. But shadow art almost looks like a silhouette, but it's not because it's a shadow. All right, last one. Let me show you the negative and deposit strokes in the draft. So you can see already I have my pencil tracing from outside with my shadow art. Oh look, if I lean it down, I have the shadow, same shadow. For this one, I want a piece of paper to glue it onto. It won't have to be black. It could be any color I chose or have. And I just going to outline that pencil tracing shadow I did so I can see it better for cutting it out. Or for shading it in. You decide what you're doing. Hello, little draft. There you are. Emphasize the power of line. Now for this one, I'll need scissors. The other examples I showed you, I did not need scissors, unless if you cut paper or cut a piece of cardboard out from a cereal box, then you did. Always, when you're not using scissors, make sure the mouth is shut. And anytime you're walking, make sure you're holding that mouth shut. All right. I think I'm going to cut a horizon line out with it. So let me trace that in so I know where to cut out. All right. So I'm going to carefully cut all the way around until it's cut out. All right, I'm finished cutting that out. So there's this side. You keep all the pieces. And this is only if you are trying to create the positive and negative space. And then I will mention you will need a little bit of glue for this. All right, so I found a paper that's double the size. So I'm going to separate my cutting. And this was from between here, so I'm going to match it up over here. Is that upside down? Yep, that's right. And I'm just going to glue it down. So we have positive and negative space, and then the opposite on the other side. I could even do this on 2 separate pieces of paper, or cut this one in half, and have 2 artworks instead of 1. Maybe it's a gift for mom and grandma, or dad, or I just want to hang it in 2 different spots in the house. Stick glue would work great with this. My preference is always liquid glue. It's so strong. I accidentally tore it there, but it's okay. Because with the power of glue, I'll glue it back together. I don't need much glue with the liquid glue because it's pretty strong. I don't want my paper swimming off the page. I want it to know where to stay. All right, I'm going to line it up in this bottom corner so both fit. Gently rub it down and then go over my giraffes. So if I'm rubbing, I don't want to tear them up. I can always turn my paper upside down. So there's nothing on this side. I can smooth it out. So give it a massage. That glue knows exactly where to stick. So do that for about 5 seconds. It's not totally dry, but it knows where to stay now. All right. Scoot those 2 pieces out so I don't accidentally glue on top of them. Dots of glues on my corner, and then a few around my drafts. I don't need to put glue all on them inside because this glue is strong enough. Just putting it around the outside edge will hold it, and then I don't waste as much glue. My glue will last longer, all summer long. Right, line it up in my corner. So both the cutout and the frame of the cutout fit. That needs a little. And then almost done. My negative and then positive. Enough glue left over on my finger. There we go. Voila! Shadow art. And this one's adding the positive and negative space. Longstreet, I hope you've had fun creating your shadow art today. I'll see you on Teams. I can't wait to see what you create with your shadows and what figurines you create or find to shadow in. See you soon.